All right. Let me know when to record. All right. So basically, everybody, this is the last week of the season. Welcome back, New Era Fantasy Football 2020. I didn't feel right. I know this letter is coming in late, but I wouldn't have felt right if we didn't get this game on tape because of the importance of it. I mean, this is for all the marbles. This is like win or go home. This is like the playoffs before the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like we've been doing a lot of games of the weeks and they've been great. But to me, before we get started, this is the game of the year. This is like, look, both guys have the same record. Whoever wins this, we're in the playoffs, and you could go down as a champ, in a few weeks. So with that being said, I don't want to take any attention away from our guys, man. They deserve a lot of love and credit this week. So I want to introduce Gene. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, welcome. Thanks, man. Thanks for the intro. Yeah. I was saying that, you're just fighting every week. You're just fighting for that win, whether or not it's by 1 point, which happened to me, thankfully, last week, or if it's a blowout. So to get to the point where now you have that chance to get in, it's a big deal. And, I was looking at Ricky's lineup and I'm looking at his team. I'm like, wow, it's a solid group. You know what I mean? It's like, I could win. He could win. You know what I mean? I can see how it can go either way this week, which makes it even more exciting. And, I realize that, every week it really kind of comes down to decisions, in that lineup and who's going to show up. And like, I got a lot of real decisions to make before I set my lineup tomorrow because, a couple of guys are in positions where they have big weeks or they don't show, matchups, looking at matchups. So, but you don't want to second guess yourself and all of a sudden, break script and make a decision that's going to cost you the playoffs, So, but I'm actually happy I'm up against Rick, man, because he's been working hard all season too. And I look at his lineup, and his lineup is solid, man. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this matchup.
Let me jump back in. So to that same point, let me introduce brother Rick. Go ahead, brother Rick.
No doubt. Thanks, man. So, it's surprising to many that I'm here, I guess, having this conversation. But before I get to that, I do want to say something.
Surprising me.
Right? I'm not gonna call names, but I know, I know Miz really like company, right? So I just want to let some people know that I got my fishing hat, right? I'm coming. I just want to get around real quick. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all want some company, but let me do my thing a little. And then I'm enjoying you. I got the hat and everything.
Word. Listen. Before we dive in, Rick, I just want you to know from me, Vern and Raph, man, like that Patti LaBelle song, man. Somebody loves you, man, and you know who it is. We wanted you to excel. That's why we were saying every week, like you had like the Gibson thing with Keenan Allen. However that went down, it was like, man, like if he would have kept that first lineup. You had the prototypical lineup.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Not to cut you off. So like there's a couple things, right? And before I say that, I'm gonna say the one trade of all the trades that I made this year, the one trade that I do regret is the Gibson trade. Mm-hmm. Okay, I probably shouldn't have made that trade. But it was literally the tale of two seasons for me, right? Because in the first half. I ran out with the two undefeated, and then that possible never came. Like 6 games later. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I was on a mean losing streak, right? And I gave myself the one more week thinking, all right, let me see what happens. And I couldn't catch a win. So I was like, and then Marv was on me for like a good 2 weeks about Gibson. So I was like, what, screw it. Let's do it. With the Keenan Allen trade, I have a surplus at wide receiver, so I didn't mind. And I felt like I was taking a win there by getting the two players I did. And the Davis trade, to be honest with you, Davis was already, he was getting tired on his production. You know what I mean? I think the last 2 games I had him, he was putting up like 10, 11 points. And ever since then, he only had one close to 19 points game that he put up for Ralph. You know what I mean? So the Davis trade was not a big deal for me. But the Gibson trade, I think I traded away a real keeper right there. You know what I'm saying?
I think the thing for me, and I've been in leagues, we've been in this league together, but then seeing how you work in the PTO, like you're the kind of guy that if you have like a fire or motivation, like you go into overdrive. Like I seen you go on some streaks, man. So I was just like, man, like you got the prototypical lineup, and I just felt like you were like, nah, I'm good. But it's like your skill set was almost whether you wanted to or not, your skill set is up here, and the team was like, so it's like keep going. And so that's where I think we were collectively at with you.
Yeah. So I looked at it, right, and I looked at it, and the way I had it mapped out based on where I was collecting all them L's. I figured, you know what, at best I was probably gonna fall 5th or 6th in terms of standings, right? So if I push and I don't make it, at least get something for the players I got. You know what I mean? So that was the thought process, and because I just couldn't catch a break, and then all of a sudden, you know, things started turning around, and I you know, caught a streak, and here I am. And you know, truth be told, there was really 2 luck moves that happened. The Gallman pickup was huge. You know, and he's been, you know, knock on wood, really producing. And then Tariq Hill going off last week. You know what I mean? Without that, you know, Marv would have went in on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was really the game saver, right? But here we are. You know, last week was legs week. You know, and now we're ready. You know, we about to go in for a week.
Let me get my my Barbara Walters on for a minute, and then we're gonna come back to Gene. So during the process, how many wins do you have in a row right now?
5.
I think I was like 5.
Okay, so at some point during that process, when did you feel that you could really make this happen? I mean, despite what we were saying, laughing, the fishing boat, like at what point were you like, you know what, I maybe have a chance?
You know, the truth is, so I had 2 wins and 5 straight losses, right? And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, if I get one more win, I could really have a significant chance here, because looking at the schedule, the hardest game on the schedule was last week, was Mars game. You know what I mean? Every other game was definitely a possible win. So the way I looked at it was, if I got the 1 win, like that fifth loss, if that was a win, that would have been a convincing factor for me to keep pushing. You understand? But after that win never materialized. Then I'm looking at it and I'm like, you know what? This really is going to end up being like I'm going to fall in the fifth, 6th, right? So if that's the case, why not collect some picks, right? And given the fact that in this league in particular, having a slew of early picks, you know, you want to kind of be there because running backs don't really stick around too long in this league. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of those things where, like, okay, if you can't get that over the top win, you know, you might as well get something else. And then last week panned out, so that's why we're here, right? You know, I need that 1 more win, and that was the calculation that I made when I caught that 5th loss. You know what I mean? Was like, I need that 1 more win because I need something to account for Marv's loss. Because I was, you know, after looking at that game, I'm like, man, that's gonna be, you know. So Marv's win ended up being a win. Marv's game ended up being a win. So, you know, I didn't anticipate. I would have anticipated this had I not caught that 5th loss.
So let me ask you this: at any point last week, because Marv had the benefit of playing, having the 2 guys go on Thursday. I'm thinking that, and I want you to take us through this process. I'm thinking, like, you know what, this is gonna be a tough game, but that's why they play the game. Was there any point in there where you were like, you know what, Will Fuller and Gibson, that it's just a wrap? And then, so take us through all that, and then take us about how Sunday was unfolding and how you felt at the end.
So it's funny because I had Gibson in FanDuel, right? Okay. And I'm looking at Gibson's production in FanDuel. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get some money this week. And then I realized that shit, I'm playing Marvel. Marv got Gibson too. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
you did a double check, like
yeah. So from Thursday it was like 50-50. I was like, all right, well, at least I'm getting some money here, right? And then on Sunday, I tuned in a little late, right? So I tuned in after Tyreek Hill had already caught his, I think, like the second touchdown.
Okay.
Right. So I'm like looking at this. When I caught his numbers, I'm like, wait, hold on. There's a chance right here. If I could at least get 40, I'm matching up there. You know what I'm saying? And Devontae Adams still got to go. So that could be my Will Fuller fuller equalizer. So that's when it started happening. I'm like, wait, there's a chance here. So now I'm paying attention. You know what I mean? So yeah. But then what was it? I think the Sunday night game. I needed some production coming out of that Sunday night game, and that was the game that put me over the top, right?
Okay.
After the Sunday night game. So yeah, from the second touchdown that Hill had, I was like, all right, there's a chance right here.
I'm gonna just say this, and then I'm gonna turn it over to sort of Vern and Gene. I got some questions for Gene. I talked to Marvin, I guess Sunday as this stuff was unfolding, but we were just talking, and I'm not going to peel the curtain all the way back, but let's just say he's a competitor and he noticed the score. I'm going to just leave it. And I felt his pain because, I mean, you see this unfolding with Tyreek Hill and you're like, man, like Tampa Bay, Todd Bowles, like, are y'all going to do anything? This dude was just, whoever that cornerback was.
Yeah, they went in on him, man. They went in on that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean that brother can explain for himself, but just peeling the curtain back just a little bit, like he did know that Tyreek Hill did what he did while it was going on. Gene, brother Gene.
What's going on?
So, brother Gene, my question is this. Man, it feels like it's been like a marathon with your team. Like, and Ricky just gave his story and what led him to this point. I want you to take us, on your journey. I mean, I think that it's appropriate to hear your story, how you felt, the highs and lows, and how you feel now.
Yeah, so for me, man, going into the draft, actually, it was for all of us really, it's running back heavy, right? So I'm coming in with my two keepers, Mixon and Chubb as my anchors, right? And I got Hops on the receiving side, and then I wanted Chris Carson actually would have been my pick, with my first pick. But then, that went to my boy Ricky over here. So I ended up with Fournette and Gordon as like the two slots coming in off the bench. And I lost Chubb and Mixon for most of the season. So then you're just cut and pasting dudes in, that you really don't believe in. So, but it comes down to every week, and at the end of the day, somewhere around week 9 is when I really say, where I'm going to go with this. But, good news is, though, I drafted for depth. So I figured, there's always going to be injuries. COVID was going to be a situation. So I try to put dudes on the bench that could play, and every now and then a guy would come in and save that week for me, whether it was, like Goddard this week or, I played Gordon, I think maybe 2 weeks. And one of the weeks he came up for me and got me that win. So, just pushing forward with that, then I got Chubb back and he, then it's like Hunt, but Chubb solid and just trying to play dudes that can get you that win, man. So, it's been tough and, so somewhere around week 9 when I projected out, I was really looking at Plunk, in terms of I just got to edge him out to keep going. Otherwise, I got to look at the team and kind of see if I can start the plan for 2021's draft, but when I looked at the lineup, I saw who I was up against for the weeks and I saw who he was up against. And I was like, you know what? I could still make it. You know what I mean? If things line up and, he takes the losses where I think he might take losses and I win the games that I think I could win, I could still kind of get there. So, last week was it was must win for me. This week is must win again, but I still feel like looking at the lineup, looking at the matchups that I got a 50-50 shot. You know what I mean? So I feel like I got a solid chance going into the game. And like I said, I feel like Ricky does too. So, I think we're equally matched for the most part. So I think it just comes down to, who gets the extra goal line carry, who gets the extra reception. Me in particular, though, because I'm still, like I said, I drafted for depth, but I got some real lineup decisions to make going into this week. Just in the wide, whether or not I go running back heavy or I go wide receiver heavy is a choice I'm going to have to make. I just pulled Booker for the Raiders this week, you know, and if you know, Josh gets in, he's going to sit it out. If Josh doesn't play, I may roll with him. But I also like Gordon this week, right, with the little tweak to Philip Lindsay. So, but then I got wide receivers I want to play, but you know, I'm trying to stay with my core elements, man, and because I need to win. So yeah, I got to take a hard look at it this week and see who's going to play for me, and see what happens and roll the dice.
Let me put on, you know, my Barbara Walters hat again. So take us through the game last week, because see, Ricky had he had like the comeback, like the rally. And honestly, I've been on both sides of that, where it's like, man, when you're up and you see this team basically walking you down, like that feeling. But then you had that rally when it's everybody is just coming together. It's beautiful. And he got the win. You, on the other hand, on the totally inverse side, you were up. And Brett, man, we were all tuned in on Wednesday. And then you had to wait.
Yeah,
you had to wait.
Yeah, I had to wait, man.
Take us through that. Take us through the game, how you felt. Take us through that process. Like, were you looking at like, yo, Claypool, like, man, like, come on. And Pittsburgh is the right/wrong team. Like, they'll come out where you think they done. They still going to, like, Big Ben, he's just going to throw the ball just for whatever reason. So take us through all of that.
Yeah.
Take us through that game.
So I like my positions at the beginning, you know, at the first segment of the matchup, man. And you know, but my biggest issue was watching Derrick Henry go off, you know. It's like, dude, you know, somebody stop this guy, man. And he was scoring touchdowns that, you know, it was just bad defense. I mean, tackle him. I know it's hard to tackle, what you say, but I'm like, he's running up the middle. I'm like, yo, this dude's just terrorizing these guys. And I was like, I don't need this to happen. You know what I mean? I really, you know, I projected him to have a solid game, but not a 43-pointer, you know? And that became an issue for me, you know? And then, but, you know, here's Russell, you know, and my guy, Russell Wilson, man, my do or die, man. I'm going to go down with him one way or the other. And he's putting up a 20-point game for me where he's projected for 30. So that's not helping me, you know? But I know he's got the ability to rally. But then you got Lockett, man, and Lockett can just, you know, he can get you 40 or he can get you 5 on a week, you know. But but the feeling is, you know, I'm gonna roll with them. They got me this far, you know, and then you got the stack. It's like, do I just drop the stack and just drop, you know, and put Deontay Johnson in for that one? So now I'm questioning myself, and I'm like, I gotta go Lockett, you know, and he really didn't show up, you know, and to put that up against, you know, the Derrick Henry score, you know, and for, you know, for the most part, you know, Wilson was equal to Bridgewater, and you know, you really don't want to see that in a week. You gotta win, you know, because he's one of my guys. So, you know, and you know, thankfully Chubb, man, you know, Chubb's my dude. You know, he's my keeper, man, and he came up big. But I hate seeing Hunt, man, grab those goal line carries. You know what I'm saying? You know, I watched Chubb, you know, knock off 15, 20-yard runs, and he's breathing heavy. I'm like, dude, don't look like that because they're going to pull you. I pull him. I'm like, now you're on the 10 and they're putting Hunter. Why you have to look so exhausted, man? You got to go with it, man. You know, so that's an issue with me, man. But I realize with Chubb, man, he's got to run. He's got to get that 100 yards for me, man, because he may not get the touchdowns. You know, so but that's who he is right now, and I'm good with it. He's solid. But yeah, it was tight, man. But you know, then got it, man. Because Philly, I'm watching Philly, and Elijah's looking at me like, "Yo, you started him, man. That whole team is garbage." I'm like, I know, man. Shut up, dude. But he's the only guy right now, man. So like, I'm watching that game, and I'm like, yo, this is gonna be a problem right here. But yo, thank God Philly is as bad as they are, man, and God is the only dude. All right, I got you, man. Thanks.
Yeah. No, listen. So, you know, I think that was a full circle moment for both of y'all for different reasons. I was gonna post something on the WhatsApp, just like, yo, Gene, I know you feeling good right now. Around around like 6 o'clock that on Wednesday.
Yeah, man.
But that literally came down to the end.
It did. It did.
Less than 1 point.
But this was tight.
Yeah. So if both Ricky and Gene, I'm sorry, if you could just put the way you feel right now in one word, like coming out of last week, looking at, what you got to face, this weekend for both of y'all, one word or one phrase, like, how do y'all feel? Let's start with Rick.
Like for me, like I said, it's literally been the tale of two seasons. But for this game in particular, um, this is it's like our Super Bowl, right? Because you got like two Jets fan right here. We got none to cheer about all season. And we going against each other for a win to make the playoffs out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really what it comes down to.
Rick, well, before we go to Gene, are you gonna, if you get a win tomorrow, how's that feel? If you get a loss tomorrow, how you gonna feel?
Honestly, I feel like I'm playing with house money right now. Mm-hmm. So if I get a win, I mean, yeah, I'm happy I'm in the playoffs or whatever, but I'm not gonna be too upset because at the end I was, I'm piecing a lineup together right now. So
well, from the fishing boat to you, brother, we here for you. We got the vouchers, man. We got what you need. But you did your thing. No, I don't want this to pass without us giving you your flowers for once this season, man. Like you went on a run, man, and I think we all collectively know, that you hold it down in the fantasy, whether it was this league or the other league. Whenever you're motivated, you're like an unstoppable force, man. So good luck to you, my brother. So we gotta turn it to Gene.
I appreciate it.
Give us a free, no doubt, man. We gotta give you your flowers, Rick. Like you put in work. You hit that block. Like you hit the block.
I appreciate
when it's time to hit the block, you hit the block. So there you go.
Yeah, I think hats off to Ricky for sure, man. As I said, that question is a good question, man. I think the one word, if I have to wrap it up, I would just come with justified. Because I feel like I drafted well and I put a team together because no one knew what the season was going to look like. And so I drafted for depth, and I feel like I'm justified in my draft picks and the guys I rolled out. And, so, yeah, I mean, and you're fighting, and you kind of question yourself in the process as well. And, so you make your moves, man. And, and AC was a mentor to me, man, when I joined the league, and I watched him win games when probably most people would bet that he couldn't win them, you know what I mean? Multiple times, and I'm like, and I feel like, okay, yeah, I belong here because I'm kind of, doing the same thing to a degree. So yeah, I think justified for me is probably, what the catchphrase would be.
Well, brother Gene, like, listen, man, I think from all of us, like, again, we got the boat passes for you too, man, open bar and everything. But you've done your thing throughout the course of the season, man. Like, I think it's hard playing in the playoffs the year before for both of y'all, and then like fielding a roster to then be competitive again the next year. So the fact that you've been able to stay afloat, stay in that upper half of the league, I think it speaks to, the miles traveled on your journey. So I wish you well tomorrow too. It's a shame that one of you will not win because I think both of y'all have really, it's sometimes okay, the 10-3 team, 10-11-2, like, yes, it's all nice and cute. But this is where like the iron gets sharpened, like down here, where y'all got to really use this to like figure it out every week. And that's a beautiful thing as you play sort of the people who, not going to say Marvin, but like the Ravs, the Germs, who are kind of like, all right, we got a team, we good, we chilling, versus the guys who's like, look, we in here like trying to figure this out. Right. So, having said that, man, I think that both of y'all battle tested. I wish y'all both success moving forward. And good luck. I'm going to turn over to Vern if you have anything or if y'all have anything.
No, man, look, hey, I think you covered it all well, man. I really got to salute Ricky. It's like week after week, we had these videos. We all got the fishing hat, the boat, you know what I'm saying? We like, yo, we about to dock. And Ricky, man, I got to salute you, man. You truly have grinded it out. Even with the fifth loss sitting right there, you could have just said, hey, man, it is what it is. Let it go. But you grinded it out. I got to respect that, man. I mean, to me, not only I feel like you have a team that can win, coming tomorrow and as the games extend, but I still think you can still wreak some havoc. I think the main thing I looked at with your team, and I think you probably feel the same way, is Chris Carson. And so with Chris Carson kind of being out of that lineup, it really kind of shook up the dynamics of what you kind of felt like what you could do. So now with him being back there, I feel like you got a shot. I mean, it's going to take more grinding, which you already been doing, but I definitely feel like you can get it done. And that really, to me, it's like, to me, these two gentlemen down at the bottom, they really have had pretty much the same season. I mean, as Gene already kind of talked about with Chubb and then Mixon going down, that really kind of shook up what he was trying to do. He wouldn't have to fight as hard as he'd been fighting, but man, I got to salute you too, Gene. I mean, particularly because you made a run last year and now you're getting a chance to return and try to get back at it. So it's two grinders. And that's what we want to see. And to me, this is like, this really, as AC kind of led off with, this really make it a game of the year, because you got two dudes that's been grinding every week, making waiver moves, making this move, that move, to kind of put in a lineup to get into the playoffs. And it all comes down to this moment. So for everything that's on the line, for all the grind that y'all put in, it comes down to this 1 week at the end of the season. We're better than that. So I salute both of you guys for making this moment. I know you guys are going to show up and definitely give us a show. And man, I like AC said, I just feel awful for the guy that doesn't get in, because I feel like both of you guys have worked hard to kind of make something happen every single week. So
appreciate it for sure, man.
Appreciate it for sure, man, for sure.
Yeah, with that being said, I open it up to y'all, man. Y'all can talk trash or salute, whatever y'all want to.
I got too
Listen,
much.
I get emotional about these things. I be like, look, I ain't trying to lose. Like, I love you, brother, but I ain't trying to lose.
Yeah, man. Neither one of us trying to lose, but I got all respect for Ricky, man. So I got no trash talk, man. But what I will say though is that, you know, for the amount of time, it's a learning curve, man. So the amount of time I've been in the league, and it still feels like I'm just getting here to some degree, and it's been a short run. But I've been on the side where like you just running and you winning every week, and like it's just a matter of who I'm going to roll out and help me win this week. So but my early grinds, man, it's just really I wasn't as seasoned and I really don't know as much as I know now. So like this experience here is really, to your point, Vern, kind of sharpen the sword. So like I know whatever happens here, like next season will be that much more experience walking in and being able to kind of lean on some of what I gained this year as well. So it's been pretty valuable in that sense too.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. It's been the same thing. Like here, when I came in, I had, I think that first year I made the playoffs, and then it's just been a grind after that. Just trying different things, trying to figure out what's gonna work. And like you said, Vern, I thought I had a great draft. I really thought I had a good setup. And just caught a couple bad breaks at the beginning. Then Carson going down, trying to balance that, realizing, other things were, working against me. So it was just a matter of, okay, which combination, who can I pull? Who can I, you know what I mean? So, and it's a learning curve every season, right? Because you're trying to look at, which teams are actually doing what they expect to do, what matchups work, what doesn't, so it takes a little bit to get going. At least it was that way for me this season. But like I said, man, I got respect for Gene, because Gene, I think, came in the same year I did in the league, and he did his thing last year too, and here we are. We just because I really looked at his team early when I was doing an assessment of what my season was going to look like, and I really felt he was going to slide in that fourth spot. I think when we did the takeover, I had my take was Gene was going to be in that fourth spot, right? It was going to come down to him or Mahone, whatever his name is, and I gave the ups I gave it to Gene, because I figured he had the better team. You know what I mean? So so definitely big up to you, bro. Good luck tomorrow, but hopefully I'm moving on, and you joining these fellas. Some fish.
Yo, the Doc time, man. Doc, we leaving, Gene. We're going to Cancun.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I'm gonna say one more thing, man. I'm gonna say this season's been special too, man, because with all the adversity and everything else going on in the world right now, and personal stuff, this league's actually gotten tighter. With the Zooms and everything. Like, I never really got to see Ricky in all the years that we've been playing, but now I know who he is. You know what I mean? So it's actually the connections, the bonds have gotten stronger. So kudos to you guys for pulling that all together in this crazy universe we're living in right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yo, Ricky, this definitely means that you locked in. You signed that new deal. We got to give you the not the LeBron contract.
Nah,
we give you the AD contract. Listen, the sub point to this season for me was convincing this man right here to stick with us. So I hope that I did that. That was my goal from the heart. Like I really mean that. So
you definitely got that accomplished, man. And I think these Zoom calls have been on point. You know what I mean? You guys are definitely doing your thing. I appreciate the effort. Definitely much respect on that. And like Gene said, man, when we did the original Zoom call where you got to see what people look like, you got met folks for the first time, you kind of get a sense of people's personality over the season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you get a little more comfortable in interacting and doing what we do. So it's definitely been one of the highlights in 2020 for me. You know what I mean? For sure.
No doubt. Maybe one day we can get all 10 of us like the new era retreat. Like we go to the island for real. I'm just saying, like you never know.
Yeah, man. Maybe we can do a link up at some point when this is all done, for sure.
Well, with that being said, I want to wish you brothers both like go get that dub. Like whoever's gonna be, go get the dub. To the guy that doesn't, and don't hang your head. Like you have nothing to hang your head about. I mean, you brothers put in that work. So good luck, everybody.
Thanks, man.
All right, Rick. I'll see you tomorrow out there, man.
All right, my man. Good luck.
All right, fellas.
All right,
Gene. All right, Rick.
Thanks for checking in. Peace.
All right.
Peace out.
All right.
Rick, you at the show, Rick?
Yeah. No, I gotta go. I got work to do.
No doubt.
Easy.
Good luck, Rick. Peace, brother.
Easy, man.
Hey, well, that's a great way to kind of.
And then there were two.
That's it, man. Then there was two. So,
do you want to? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we could just dive right in, man. I mean, that's a great way, to get things started, man. With this last week 13, for some of us, particularly me, it's been grueling to continue to get stomped on every week. So I'm glad that this has finally come to an end. And then for others like Gene and Ricky, man, this it don't get no higher, don't get no better than that, than to know you get a chance to fight for it all. So, man, I'm happy for him.
Yeah, we you play enough years, like you see a lot of different scenarios, and like we would have to go over the history, but I think I think I had this with Marvin one year. You sort of win and you're in, and for the both of us, and you can't really ask for more. I mean, you want it to be the smooth ride, you want it to be a just easy journey into the playoffs. I mean, all of us, like if we could all go 10-3 and you in, like I'm gonna take that every time.
Right.
But if you say at the beginning of the season, you're not going to have the perfect season, what kind of way would you want to go into the playoffs? So if you had to put your money on, well, you get the last game of the season and you got a chance, I think anybody would say, okay, I'll take that chance. And to see these two brothers that have worked so hard this season, it means a lot. So, I wish them well. I just, again, it's just going to be a shame that only one of them can go. 2 minutes and one man leave kind of thing. But whoever gets in, I think that they can definitely raise their fist up in victory. But I think the loser doesn't have to hang their head. I think the loser definitely can say, well, you know what? I did my thing too. It just on that day, for that series of games, it just didn't go my way.
Yeah.
So good luck to them.
Yeah,
good luck to them for sure.
No doubt.
Anything else on that game? Or just
man, look, no, I thought that was well covered, man. I mean, it pretty much covered all the bases, man. I mean, like I said, both of them been fighting, and so I think the breakdown was good. Just the inner workings, what they kind of been feeling like, going through the whole season, leading up to this moment, how they're going to feel afterwards if they get the W. I thought it was all covered well. So yeah, man, there's nothing else to add, man, other than the points. That's it, man. Right. But look, right, so, I got the teams lined up just for the sake of what we do as far as power rankings. I don't think we need to take a lot of time at 2-10. At number 10, it will be my team. That's obvious. Then when you go from there, you got Baskin Robbins, you got Romel, basically at 3-9. Take your pick, but I would say Baskin Robbins is number 9. Romel's probably in the 8th spot, and then at the number, yeah, go ahead.
I would switch.
Go ahead.
I would switch, and I tell you why. Because it goes into the philosophy that's been over us for the last about week and a half. And I've had to do some real just internal thinking, just sort of going back to last week, which will come out in the future. But it's really hard. Like once you get to this point, it's hard to really regulate and say, all right, well, Romel, Brett, Aaron, Vern, but keep fighting the fight, brothers. Now, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like if you're playing a playoff team, then yeah, give it all you got. But it's hard to say to a non-playoff guys, which again, and there's a lot of layers to it, but it's hard to just be like, all right, now go out there and put the mash out unit. On one end, if you had the mash out unit, you would have been doing
I would be it.
But then two, it just gets hard. It gets hard to keep calling upon somebody to just be that engaged to be like, all right, here we go. So I have different views of where we go with that, or just things that I would like to discuss, not where we go, but just things I want to discuss, propose, in the future, just things that we can discuss, like I said, for 3 times. But for the philosophy of it, it's hard to just be like, all right. So for example, Brett and Romel play tomorrow. And it's just like, all right, they really, the draft. We're looking at the draft, but it's almost like, all right, like I'm not gonna put my thoughts into this. I really don't care in a way. So that's just something. It's just hard to It's just hard to mandate or legislate, even to say, well, guys, put in your best line. It just gets to the point where I think that just having some time to really reflect on it, it's just asking a lot. Now, I don't know if asking a lot is appropriate or if it's asking too much or whatever. I mean, again, that's conversations we can have later, but it's just asking a lot. So with that being said, I look at for the power rankings, I look at Mel. Again, we said this last week, going out New England's defense, and I know defense is such a small part of your lineup, but it's so I will at least give Brett the fact that looking at his lineup, he's still putting,
yeah, he almost caught Gene, man. He almost caught Gene. Right. 1 point, man. 1 point, and Gene would not be the game of the week, so.
Right. And again, in the spirit of what we're talking about, I mean, all right, Brett, he did what he had to do. His brother's trying to make the playoffs and this and that. So Brett is, and then against each other, I guess we'll just see how they throw bows at each other. But, I'm just going to give Brett some credit. And I think for that, just for what it is, even superficially, I would put Mel at the 9, Brett at the 8.
No doubt. I'm with that. So is there any argument with at the number 7 spot?
No. And I play Germ tomorrow. So I'm fully expecting to go down the spot.
No doubt, man. All right, so that puts us into the pretenders. I guess Plunker, he's just kind of hanging out there. He's stranded, man. There's no way for him to get in tomorrow. So normally at the end of NFL season, they kind of run down all the crazy scenarios in which you can get in. None of that's needed. So Plunkett 6-6. I think he made a violent effort to try to get into the mix. He definitely made a great trade that I think is going to help his team, for the long term. But for this season, he's out of it. So it's kind of in that number 6 spot. So that kind of leaves us to the guys that are in the game of the week. Ricky versus Marvin. Whew. Okay.
Gene.
Okay. So
Ricky versus Gene.
Yeah, Ricky versus Gene.
Right.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Ricky versus Gene.
Right.
Yeah, appreciate that. So it puts them where they're at in the power rankings. What do you feel like is going to happen tomorrow? Now that they're off, it's just the two of us. What do you feel like where this is going to go?
Let me pull up the official scoreboard joint real quick. So, man, I mean, They have Ricky with the current configuration. They have Ricky ahead by 10 in the projections.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to say this, man. I mean, I haven't had the I guess pleasure to have guys like that in a long time. And to get more specific, those like, I don't want to say boom or bust players, but players that have a ceiling and they're elite players, but that can really just take it to another whole level. Ricky having Adams and Tyreek Hill, I mean, I don't really care for receivers in that way. I want receivers. You need at least one. I mean, come on, you need one. And you need 2, 3 for depth and this and that. But to have two guys that feel like the promise of their prototype that do it so well. I mean, Tyreek Hill, your boom player, your deep threat, your speed, all of that. He feels that he is like, what more would you want in a guy like that? And he has them. Then Adams, I don't want to call him your possession, but so your possession, intermediate, hog up the line, share the targets, move the chains, get the red zone looks, perfect prototypical red zone target. He is all of that. And so having those every single week, like I guess the question would be, Hill is more of a, you got to take a guess at it. Adams is more of like a consistent. So Adams plays Philly tomorrow. I got to believe that Slay will be traveling with them. But at the same time, I mean, Adams, his route running is just so refined. I mean, I don't think Slade can really do much with him. Now, maybe he may slow him down a step, meaning maybe instead of 15 catches, maybe like 11. But Adams is just, Tyreek Hill versus Denver. That's the thing about Tyreek Hill. That could be an equalizer, not so much because Tyreek Hill can't do it, but I know Mahomes, I don't want to say he spreads the ball around. He gets it to his guys, but I just think last week the defensive game plan was just awful. I don't know why go one-on-one man coverage versus Tyreek Hill. Like you can't do that. You just cannot do that. Like the only way I would do that is if the corner was, I don't want to say Dion, because offensive speed like that, even for a defensive cornerback, it gets tough. I would keep a safety over top of him at all costs. So I got to believe that Denver's going to come in with a little bit better game plan. I don't think they have the horses to shut him down.
No.
But, either way, then you look at Carson and Gallman and Montgomery. I think collectively, I don't see anything that jumps off the page. The Giants defense is actually stepping up. But I think collectively, I think what's going to happen with Ricky's lineup is, and this is something that I like to employ with mine, you need the heroes to be the heroes and everybody else just do your job. Like don't underperform. Do your job and then let Adams and Hill bring you home. A-Rod, every time he throws a touchdown to Adams, that's 10 points automatically, every single time. So, I think Ricky has the kind of lineup where I don't see much boom from the entire squad, but I see the boom from his heroes. I think that the heroes are going to be the heroes tomorrow. Rotating over to Gene, I see, again, Russell Wilson is going to be Russell Wilson. The problem is going to be Lockett. It's just, Lockett, are you going to be all-world career day today, like, every few weeks? Or is it going to be Lockett, 5 catches for 44 yards today? We'll see. I think that Gene, again, outside of that, he's going to need his heroes to be the heroes. So looking at his lineup, he's going to need Wilson, Chubb, and I believe Lockett. Goddard is going to get his looks anyway because Philly, they're pretty consistent with getting the ball to their wide receivers. Booker is going to be a wild card. I mean, this is the problem when you're playing a team or you have players from a team that you haven't followed all season. I don't know enough about Booker to say, is Gruden going to run him out there for, 40 plays, 20 carries, 80 yards and a touch, or is it going to be some kind of carousel? It's just, I get a little leery about that. I have to do some studying. If it's not a team that I know the ins and outs, so I don't know what's going to happen with Booker tomorrow if he's given lead back duties. How do I see the game? This is a tough one, man. I think that I would, looking at the lineups, looking at the matchups, I would probably have to say Ricky was going to take it. I think that Russell and A-Rod probably wash each other out. I think that Chubb is actually going to play in the advantage of Gene. But then the Booker Gallman thing, maybe they're dragging each other through the mud with the points.
Right.
On the wide receiver tip, yeah, Deontay Johnson, but McLaurin and Johnson versus Adams and Hill on paper, I don't want. I'm good. Like I wouldn't want no parts of Ricky's tandem. I think that Gene gets the advantage at the tight end spot, defense, kicker, and flex. I think Montgomery. If Lockett doesn't do what like big day, then I think that Ricky gets the check mark with Montgomery. I just think Ricky probably has a little bit more to get him across the finish line. So I got to put my bid in for Ricky.
Yeah, I think Gene's assessment in regards to his team, I think was very accurate. He has a lot of tough choices to make. I look at DeAndre Hopkins. He's sitting on his bench. The Rams. They're rated number one versus wide receivers, but it's DeAndre Hopkins. So hey, this is your keeper. This has been the guy. He's been a horse for you all season. But do you play the matchups? Do you say, hey man, this just ain't the week? This is, and it's tough, because this is for all the marbles. So it's like, I'm sure he really wants to play Hopkins. If this was a couple weeks ago, he probably would take that chance. Like, hey, look, it's versus the Rams, but it's Hopkins. I'm gonna roll with it. But you only get one shot to do this. So, that's a tough call to make. You look at Gordon, now with Lindsey gone, okay. Maybe if you don't want to take the gamble on Lockett going, 4 for 43, maybe I slide in Gordon and say, hey, okay, maybe Denver comes in there and play keep away, or he's the only running back, so he catches a lot of passes. Maybe you go there. Um, so to me, I just feel like depending on the choices that he makes in regards to those particular players will determine how closely this matchup goes. I feel like I agree with you. I think that Ricky, surprisingly enough, with all the trades made, Ricky has the team that is most likely to be consistent. So the projections is most likely to be closer to what he's actually going to do. Whereas with Gene's team, it's like I look at those projections and I'm like, depending on the guys you got in there, yeah, Lockett might not give you that 14. He might easily give you 8. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I look at some of the other guys in his lineup and I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if he makes it to 137. So it's going to be close depending on if Gene makes the right lineup calls. And to be quite honest with you, I really don't envy Gene this week. I really don't, because it's some really tough calls.
The one sort of barometer that I've learned to use over the years is if you take an L and you look back, would you have any regrets? And that's as it applies to your stars. If he loses, are you good with? Well, I sat DeAndre down at the time when really this is why you paid DeAndre the fantasy dollars, if you will.
Right.
And on to that point, and maybe sometimes that's why a owner can fall short. I've fallen short, but if it were me, I would give Hopkins a serious look. And I know he's playing Ramsey. Ramsey will probably travel with him, but it's just I wouldn't want to look back and say, well, man, I played. I don't know, pick a name. I played.
Deontay Johnson.
I don't want to use his team as an example, but it's like on my team. And like, man, like, when it was all said and done, like, man, like I should have played Roddy White. Instead, I played, you know, third string receiver who, was looking like he was gonna have a good day today.
Right.
So, he's facing the uphill battle with D Hop. It's just at some point, for me, I'd probably say, you know what, go with the people that brought you here. Even from a game flow kind of thing, I could see where they're both putting up points. I think that, but again, we're not here to give Gene, play-by-play
Yeah.
insight, but
Yeah.
I just know like that's a real decision that he's gonna have to make. Like, do you go with the guy that's brought you here, your steady Eddie, or do you go with, can he look back and say, well, you know what, I played Deontay Johnson, and you know what, I can sleep good at night. Me, right. that would kick me. I would, I would have to win that game, or else I always look back like, man, or even Tyler Lockett. So I would think Gene, for him to assess his lineup, he has some very tough decisions. Maybe, maybe dive in to do the soul searching thing, see how he feels, and however he analyzes his matchups. But you're right, I don't envy him. It's a tough call.
Yeah. And honestly, yeah. I mean, to me, just like straight, just looking at it, like I couldn't tell you what calls I would make on that. So I think, like you said, you got to kind of go with your gut, your instincts, what you feel like is most likely to happen. That's what fantasy is really all about, is what do you feel like is most likely to happen? And then just make a call. And I think if you, do your homework, do your studying, and you make a call, no matter who the name is, you can live with that, if you go with what's most likely to happen, hey, here's the situation, you got to live with it. So I think Gene's going to do all right. I think, like I said, I expect it to be a competitive matchup. I don't think it's going to disappoint at all. It's unfortunate both of them can't get in, but yeah. So in either case, I got Ricky. I got Ricky making it into the playoffs. Is strange to say, but I got to agree with you. I think he ends up making it in there, just because I just got a better feeling. Particularly Montgomery going against the Lions, man. I think that really takes him over the edge.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, horsepower, man. That's the name of the game. And he got some horses.
Yeah. So, where did that?
He just needs his people. It's like, guys, I'm not asking you to be anything other Montgomery. Just be Montgomery today. Like, I don't need 3 touchdowns. Just be you. Right. Carson, just do what you do. And let Hill and Adams do the heavy lifting. And I think that they probably will.
Yeah, no doubt. So that takes us into the guys that are already in the playoffs. I don't think that really take much breakdown to kind of figure out who's who and what's what in regards to that. So you got Germ, Marvin, and Raph. They all kind of, make their stakes, pretty much in regards to being in the playoffs. So I have Marvin at the number 3 spot at 8-4. I have Germ at the number 2 spot at 9-3, and I have Raph. Man, he's man. Hey, look, the league should thank me that I gave this dude a loss, because hey, man, if all comes down to it, if he wins tomorrow, if it wasn't for that weak matchup with me, he would be going undefeated, and that's a scary thing. Yeah. So, man, I'm glad I put that L.
We're gonna have an end of season award show, man. End season recap. You're gonna get your flowers, trust me. But you're right. I mean, 12-1 has only been achieved by Romel. Also, there's the curse of the 12-1 because that year he went 12-1, played in the first round. Basically, the 4 seed knocked out the 12-1 seed and became the champ. So there's a little history of teams that go 12-1. Either way, Raph has taken on all takers, man. I think that he should be saluted for that.
Yeah.
As a team owner, no, I don't want to see him win any more titles, and we're not there yet. But if he wins, you gotta salute him. I mean, he has been battle tested, and he's taken on everybody. Like, I know Romel likes to give him grief and all that, but at the end of the day, however Raph got there, Raph in my mind we talked openly about his sins. He's atoned for them to some degree. And he's just been straight, just plugging and chugging along. You got to give him his credit. At the end of the day, the brother won last year. He's back at the number 1 spot, and he's you got to give him his credit. I mean, even of Romel, like there's times in fantasy football where you just got to say, you know what, like, you got it. And I think that if Raph, wins tomorrow, just heading to the playoffs, you just got to give him his credit, and he earned that. With regard to Jeremy, I think that he every year, like, you see sort of similar dynamics between the teams that finish in a certain spot. So number 1 is typically your team that's been steamrolling. Number 2 is typically your team that may or may not have done a few cosmetic things to land in that position. but they were things that really worked out. And I think that Germ was a master this year of identifying areas of need, having a good draft, identifying areas of need, filling those areas either based on waivers or making trades. And he really made a lot of good tweaks. Like, he didn't do anything. He made the trade with you. But I guess you could call that a blockbuster. I really wouldn't. I think the player himself is an elite player, but it wasn't one of those like he had like no running backs at all, and then he traded for like number one running back in the league. It was a good move, and he got an elite player, on par with like the other quarterbacks. I think that Germ just really did a great job. And like I said, typically you see that from like your 2 or 3, where they made certain moves that sustained their team throughout the year, and they made them, maybe they're not on paper the number one team, Raph, but on paper, like they've done enough to say, well, I got this over the rest of you guys. And you know what? If I play number one again, let's roll the dice. Like, I have a chance. And I think that he has done a great job of establishing himself as somebody that has a chance. I think that, overall, you're going to see, again, the different traits between playoff teams. You got the steamroller, you got the, I'm really good, let's play it out. Then you have like the hot team, the wild card team, if I get you on the right matchups, number 1 and 2, right weeks, I could pull this off. So you're going to see that dynamic. We'll talk about that more next week. But for Germ, I think that number 2, I don't want to say it's deserved because he shouldn't be number 1. I don't want to give it a negative connotation. I think it's deserved because he took a team that was probably in the middle of the pack, and on the upper end, but middle of the pack, and then made it, a top 2 team in the league. And I think he should be saluted for that. With Marvin, again, he's going to be the guy like for the number 1 and 2, like, hey, or number 2, I guess, as they roll on. If there are any matchups to exploit on either side of the coin, whether his team or Germ's team falling on maybe a buzzsaw, Marvin's going to have the right lineup to exploit that. Like, does he have the same talent 1 through 9 as the other 2? Maybe, maybe not. But does he have enough that says, if, for example, Kimura has been coming up short lately and they play, I don't even know their schedule, but they play this person, but yet I checked into the right matchup, the right offense for this week. Can I get you? And I think that Marvin, in both cases, whether it was Raph or Germ, has that. And I think that covers it, because the 4 and 5, that's still to be decided. So
yeah, that pretty much decides it, man. Take. Yeah. So, hey, well, one last season to go, man. Any takeaways in regards to the league and in regards to the NFL? Just in general stuff.
Well, again, we've been talking about the draft stuff, but to me that's an off-season conversation, just to have an open discussion. So we'll put that out. With regard to the actual, let's talk about the rookies. I think that for years we've all been looking for those rookies in the draft. I think it goes according to the actual draft class. I think this class, looking back, I think Gibson was the guy. But again, that's how it goes. Like, we have those guys up top, and it could be somebody who comes, I don't want to say out of the blue, because looking back, you say, all right, well, Washington's fielding, Ron Rivera, great O-line, Bill Callahan, O-line coach, they're going to be running that rock. We just didn't know like how it was going to unshake, because you see AP, you got Bryce Love, you had Gibson, you had Geis at the time. So, you just don't know. But I think in retrospect, he was the guy that if you had to give like the rookie running back rankings, he was the guy. And I think that's going to continue, for the rest of the season. And I think he's going to be off to a great career. So hat tip to Marvin over here, because, right, you have him in the other league. So hat tip. So that just a great pick. Now to go over the rest of the rookies, Dobbins, I think I thought at some point he was going to get out there, but the Ravens, they ran into what I feared, sort of a Lamar hangover, where he didn't really evolve and teams caught up. And that's a problem. And I think that Dobbins suffered. I think the Ravens just need to streamline their offense. Just say, look, we got to get a big target out there for Lamar. And I think that, we have to sort of dummy down our running back room. We don't need 5 guys. And, it's not the burger joint. Like, we just need a guy and, maybe complementary running backs, just let Dobbins run wild. I think that the Ravens have everything in place. But until then, I'm actually looking back. Sometimes you just land on the right situation. I think you told me this years ago when I wanted McFadden and Romel got him. I think I wound up getting like Michael Turner.
I remember that.
And then one other years, Romel got whoever, and I got Brian Westbrook. So sometimes the right thing happens.
Put on.
And I know I wanted Dobbins, but looking back, like, I'm good. When it comes to Akers,
okay.
I think the Rams. Yeah, I think the Rams just got to figure themselves out. I don't really have enough to say Akers was good or bad. I mean, he looks the part. I don't think his usage was. They didn't do him any favors for year one with his usage. I don't think that was his fault though.
Nope.
Who else? Who else are we?
You got Taylor and you got.
I got
Hilaire.
Swift.
And Swift. Yep.
Hilaire. Right. Okay. So Hilaire.
The guys that we thought were gonna do something, right?
Right. Hilaire. I think it was a great pick. I think it was, you had to make the pick. I think that over time things will bear out in Kansas City. I just think too much was expected of him. And I think that I think he can be like your catch and pat. Like, they're using him the right way. I just think he needs a compliment, a real compliment. But I think asking this, and Swift is kind of in the same boat too. But asking this sort of 5'8", 5'9" guy to like carry the load like that, I guess it could be subject to whoever you ask. So Marvin may say something, you may say something different. But in my mind, like, asking him to be this like 250 carry guy, like, they may be asking too much. They maybe need, in my mind, put him in a role where he can just be more productive with his touches. And then I think, as always is the case with these sort of passing offenses, these guys just fall in love with just throwing the ball to the point where it's like, well, you have a running back right here. He can make plays for you. So I think it's a little bit of all of that with Kansas City. But I think it was the right pick. Like, I think if we did a redraft, I would say that'd be the pick again, even with Gibson. I mean, maybe Hilaire goes 1, Gibson goes 2. But I think Hilaire was the right pick in that. So then you got Taylor. I think Taylor is going to come on strong. I saw some stuff in the Green Bay game that made me think, if he can do it again, because he didn't play last week, but if he can do it again, he's starting to build some little building blocks. So I'm very interested over these next 4 weeks to see what he can do. I think he can get it done. I think he's starting to believe and trust his eyes out there, but I don't want to say it off of one game, but I'm like cautiously optimistic. Swift is, I think, one of the more talented backs in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he needs a real chance to get out there. Also, of concern to me as a team owner is, again, a 5'9" guy, 5'9", 215. I mean, you can't ask him to carry this load. I mean, he got the concussion the other week, and NFL players get concussions. It happens. It's unfortunate. It's kept him out for a few games. And even now they're like, well, he still ain't right. So to me, it's like, yeah, I mean, these guys are sort of undersized, and you don't want to rely on them to be the hero. I think they're good complementary pieces. I think they're good keepers. Hilaire, great keeper. It's just, I don't know if you can ask these guys that maybe fall just a little bit short of being like prototypical average running back size, if they can carry the rock like that. Now, I do think in all of these cases, they can be just as productive. You just got to get them in the right situation. So Swift should be a guy out there like, yeah, he's going to get his 12 to 15 carries, but you're going to throw him the ball underneath and let him do his thing. Like, that's how you got to use him.
Mm-hmm.
Hilaire, I think, is the same thing. Taylor, though, to me, is a guy you put 20 carries on him. Like, he can take that pound. I mean, so I think the rookie running backs, again, like, I think it's going to be something, obviously, that we're going to continue, going forward. I mean, the draft is a draft. If there's a guy in a great situation, then you're going to make your moves. But I think we're all starting to sober up, if you will, to the real reality that these guys, asking a rookie to come in year one and carry you home is asking a lot. Like, there's not many guys. Barkley was able to do that for some teams out there. Zeke was able to do that, but it's just, those guys are just not they're sort of few and far between at this point, whether it's because of opportunities, whether it's because of coach or whatever, how they want to act this week. It's just asking a lot. And I think the main guy put on Front Street again is Brett, where it's like, yeah, Dobbins, he looks great on paper. He just didn't get in there and get enough burn. And then it just torpedoes your whole season. So I think that's going to be something that we're all looking at. And the question is, outside of the top end of the top end, do you just say, you know what, we're falling back? Or do we all just keep diving right back in, with the same expectations? So that will be that. I think this playoffs is going to be a great playoffs. Again, it's a shame that it's just me personally. I want to be in there, but it's going to be a great playoffs between Raph, Germ, Marvin, Ricky, or Gene. I think that each one of them has a story to tell, a journey to tell, and I think each dynamic of each owner is just going to be, it's going to be good to see it play out. At this point, we can confirm pretty much that it'll be Marvin and Germ. Outside of something weird happening, I think Marv would get it even based on points for, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think. So you have a clash of two different ideals. You're going to have sort of the guy who, was like, look, I'm in the cave, like trying to make the fire out of the rocks, and I'm going to figure out how to do all this. And then you have Germ, who's like, yeah, I see you over there, but the locals, they had some wood and a few little matches. I did that way, so it's going to be good to see how they link up and see who comes out of that. Then you're going to have Raph, like the guy who just coming in with the horsepower. But, one of the dangers of being number one is sometimes you got to fight the number 4 guy who, was either sort of in the run as a whole year and just settled on 4 at the end, or they made a run. And they made that run for a reason because they're pretty hot. And can Raph withstand that challenge?
Yeah.
So, I guess that's about it. I mean, we have off-season stuff to take care of, but that'll come, during the off-season times, I guess, for the non-teams. I mean, just in terms of evaluations of our seasons, like sort of exit interviews. But for the active playoff guys, there's going to be some nice storylines, and so I can't wait to really focus on them in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah,
that's really all I got.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I absolutely agree, man. I think with the playoff matchups, each one of them is going to have, their own intrigue to it. Each one of them have a story. Raph with the possibility of going back to back is a big deal. Again, I've never seen anyone do it before, minus myself. And that's, that's a salute to all the champions that have come before. And so to do it in this league, to be able to go back to back in this league, ooh, I mean, that's a that's a big diamond to put on his ring, accolade. So, man, what a story! And then, just like you said, I think with Germ's team just making shrewd moves at the right time, Marvin kind of being the guy that uses wits to kind of get to where he is, and then either Gene or Ricky, who have literally just scrapped their way in. Man, all very compelling stories, man. But really, for me, I think the story for this year, and this was kind of alluded to in the matchup of the week, and really the matchup of the year, has really been about these Zooms. I mean, to me, I got to give you a salute. Obviously, Raph can't be with us this week, but I got to salute him as well. Much like what Gene said, I think this has really kind of taken the league forward in a way that really was needed, particularly because of everything that's going on with this year, us not being able to kind of see each other, even as friends, me and you, normally, you're in town or whatever, we get a chance to kick it or whatever. But these Zooms has been a great way for us to kind of really connect. And even for, guys that have been in the league for years that haven't had the chance to get the chance to see each other, to be able to see us every single week, have something that they can watch, before they dig into their games, I think has been a really great thing, man. So again, as a commissioner, I gotta salute you, man. This has been awesome. This has been awesome. And
yeah. No, I just piggybacking off of that. Like, I appreciate it. I think all of this stuff just starts with an idea, right? So it was just like, hey guys, let's see if we can can we pull off a live draft? You know, we've been saying that for years. And so, you know, yeah, you know, I want us, all three of us, to really soak up, you know, the fruits of that labor and really enjoy, you know, what we did. But, you know, I also think that we have to give some love to, you know, the league too, because it took some convincing for a few owners.
Oh, no doubt.
To say, hey, like this can work. And so I'm glad that they bought in. You know, I'm glad that they bought in. I got to give you props and Raf props. I think for the same reasons, but for, you know, different reasons. I mean, whether it was like, hey, Vern, how are we going to upload these videos? Like, what are we going to do? Like, you figured all that out on the technical end, and you worked that like a maestro. And then you have Raf, who really came through. You know, we were talking about the cameo. I don't know how we landed on that, to be honest, but then, you know, he actually took the step out there to say, okay, I'm actually going to pay my money to just see, you know, what it could be. I remember he sent me the text like, hey, like, check this out. I was like, what is this? And then it was the Redman video. And I think that appropriately, that sort of set it all off, where we were like, yeah, like this can be real. Like, we could really put something together for the league that I hope that they will enjoy. I think for me as a commissioner, I think every year, like I like playing the games and, you know, winning of course, but I think for me, I get the most joy, the most fulfillment out of ways to make the league just the best. And this was just more like, hey, like if we can really do, it was really just like a live draft. Let's have a live draft. But then it turned into like, we doing these videos, we can record them and newsletter, because I don't feel like writing and typing no more.
Word.
And you know, we landed on a better way. And you know, a lot of times, you know, in life, like we do things, like for me, even in my professional capacity, like to me, I go to court, like, all right, I'm here, and all right, let me get these cases, and I do my due. But you never know the impact that you're having on the people. So for us, like for me, it's like, all right, guys, like, all right, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, let's get this newsletter, because I really don't feel like typing, let's get this up. And to hear, you know, Gene and Ricky specifically tonight, it makes me feel like, man, like we really did something. It's sort of like we made our only built for Cuban links without knowing that this would be like a classic kind of thing. Because to us, we were just scrambling around. But then to hear like Gene, you know, and Ricky say like, look, in these times, like this really brought us together. I had no idea that it would mean that much. I mean, it feels great to know that. It's like humbling, and it just fills you with the joy. It raises the stakes, you
Word.
know, for as we move forward. But to know that, you know, this was something that people, when they wake up on Saturday, like to us, it's like, all right, we're sitting here scrambling to get this video up. But to know, like, just like when we did the written newsletter, that people are like, hey, like, where is it? I want to read it. Like, this adds like something to somebody's day. I mean, I just think that takes it to a whole different level beyond anything I expected. So again, you never know, like the things, like how you do what you do, the impact that I have on people. You hope that it's good, but you never know how a person, how that can help them out in their day. Like if any of the team owners was, you know, having, you know, a sucky day or something, and they look at the letter, we laughing, and look at the video, that may change their whole spirit, their whole vibe. So to know that we were able to do that, and especially where we were not even aiming for that, like that's just a beautiful thing. So,
Yeah.
you know, and Raph, you know, I think we collectively, like, you know what I mean, we got to give Raph his props, man. Like, you know, again, we're all competitors. And I know, like, again, I'm calling out Mel. Like, I know he gets on his case, but it's like, you really got to give Raph a lot of credit. I think that within the league, he's really come into his own and really become like a distinguished gentleman, you know, in the league. And especially like with the help that he's given you and me with this, has really, really been, I just, he's like an unsung hero. Like I really got to say that. There were weeks where, you know, like that Marvin and Germ video that week. Like I was like, man, we ain't gonna do a video this week. Those two are playing. Like this sucks. And here come Raph, like
Yeah.
batting and cleanup, and he pulled it off. Like he took that on his own. That was all him, just, you know, caution to the wind, and just picking up the cape, and he got it done. So, you know, again, I would say, you know, for those out there that, want to give Raf, grief, yeah, we're gonna keep giving him grief. But there are moments in time where you just gotta say, you know what, like this brother behind the scenes, like he deserves a big piece of the pie, a big piece of the credit. So, and like I said, for you, ever since high school, I mean, we've been pretty much, we know what to do when we do it. But I just think that this, without you coming through with all of the technology and then stepping in and really bringing it all together behind the scenes, taking the time to upload the videos and figure all that, like that stuff is hard. I think I probably had the easiest part, like just get on camera and talk. Like I could do that. But I think between you and Raf, like you all really deserve the flowers and, a lion's share of the credit for making this all work. Like this is exhausting. And it's just good that it all worked. And I'm very glad that we were able to rope everybody in and do like the happy hour, get the different team owners on the different weeks. Like it's just been a beautiful thing, man. I do have ideas to really even take it up a notch, like because I'm always like, look, like we got to come out with 2.0.
Right.
So I definitely have some great ideas for next year. But for what this was, man, it just it puts like it warms my heart to know that this really like helped people and touched people in our league.
Yeah,
So
no doubt, man. Hey, man, and like you said, man, it all starts with the idea. So, just as much as we got to give props to Raf, for his part with being the recorder pretty much every single week. Every single week, Raf is the guy that's hitting the button, that's kind of getting things going and kind of gets the ball moving. Got to give your props too, man, because as a commissioner, I know how it is. I'm a commissioner in another league, and your league goes as the commissioner goes. So, as creative as you are and as much as input as you're willing to take from other owners is how good your league is going to be and how connected they feel, beyond just the game. So again, salute, to you and definitely to Raf, man, for making this work. And guess what? You still got, you still got 4 more weeks of this, man. So I don't know how we're gonna play it out, but I know it's gonna, definitely gonna end on a high note, man. So I'm looking forward to getting together and talking about these playoff matchups as they go through, and getting into some of the intrigue between them. So, hey, man. But
yeah,
I just for me personally, just kind of looking back and like I said, not only hearing Gene and hearing Ricky, but even thinking about for my own personal life, is like, man, it's been good to be able to get away, sometimes and just be able to connect with you and Raf and talk about these games and talk about the league and football and all that kind of stuff via Zoom, man. It's been awesome. So I'm appreciative of it for sure. So yeah, with that being
yeah.
said,
It
man,
almost makes you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It almost makes you want to root for Raf to win, right?
yeah, kind of a little
Nah.
bit. Yeah, not
Nah, I'm
really.
good. I'm good.
Not really.
Yeah, it ain't that. Hey, we good. We good.
No, we good. We good. But we still love you, Raf. And like I said, we appreciate you. We appreciate you for showing up every single week, man, helping us out. But that
Word.
pretty much wraps us up for week 13, man. It's been, for those that this is the end, man. Again, man, it's been a great ride with you guys. You know, for a lot of us, it didn't go exactly the way that we thought it was, but hopefully these videos have at least give you some entertainment each week between your games. So, and definitely, hey, look, now it's about saluting those that have made it into the playoffs. Watch what happens, and then going back to the chalkboard and strategizing on how to make moves for next year. So, definitely looking
Yeah.
forward to that.
I guess just last thoughts for me, is just shopkeeping stuff. So we're gonna keep the show going through the playoffs. There's a zero need. This shouldn't even go without saying, but I'm just saying it. Zero need to focus on the other six.
No.
The remaining four is going to be the bulk of the show, so probably more in depth, shorter shows. But we're still here with the same content, and I would urge anybody that wants to join in, feel free, open forum, and I will probably bring in guest commentators. That might be another good idea. Bringing some guest commentators, and matchup breakdown. So we're still going to keep doing a show. Probably do an award show at the end of or at the conclusion of the playoffs. I mean, of course, the champ is going to be crowned, but we won't go through all the awards, prop of the year, all of those things. What else can I think? Any legislation, off season stuff, we'll take care of that post like way down the line. And I think we'll get into the dues, the fees, and all that stuff when the appropriate time comes. But I just want to know that once you guys know the show is going to keep going. I look at this episode as like our end of season episode, so there's no need to come back in and do like a recap.
Nah.
We'll just go right into the playoffs, and I think that's it. Yeah, legislation down the line, fees down the line, but then award shows, sort of postseason. Just recap. I want to send some shouts out to Mr. Scott Hansen. He did an awesome video. Can't forget about that. Joy Taylor. I think we were all happy with the work she did.
Yes, sir.
Probably for different reasons. And and then got to give shouts out to Redman, all of our sponsors, Duracell batteries, all those guys.
USPS Postal Service, no doubt.
U.S. Postal Service, all of that. So with that being said, man, I can promise you this: like year 2, if y'all thought what we did was great this season, man, y'all don't even know. Get ready, because this stuff I wanted to pull off this year, but we just didn't have enough time. So.
No doubt. Looking forward to it. All right, fellas, we are out of here. Look forward to you seeing you guys next week and talking about the playoffs. All right, y'all take it easy.